Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Aquarius. If Aquarius is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. All right, let's get started. And so this is a bonus reading for Aquarius, and our card tonight is the Temperance card. Okay, and let's go ahead and take a look and see what do these tea leaves have to say tonight. And so if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit the little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It is free to subscribe. Also, if you'd like to hit the like button or leave a comment, I would love to hear from you. And if you're new to the channel, definitely shout it out in the comment section. All right, so the first big thing I'm seeing here, we have a crescent moon. You can see the face, eyes, nose, mouth. So kind of really interesting and quite detailed. Now we've just gone past the full moon. We're getting close to that new moon, which, my goodness, the new moon always affects me so very greatly. Does it affect you like it affects me? Everybody always talks about the full moon, making things weird. Oh, for me, it's the new moon. But yeah, so we have this real big lunar energy. Now, we all know kind of that man on the moon. What is that? An archetype, I guess. We have the man on the moon. So there is a feeling of kind of not being alone in the universe. And I really think that's what it is. That's what it feels like, right? We look up to this night sky. We see our familiar and beloved moon, right? And usually, I don't know about you, but for me, I think of the moon usually as a goddess. I know that there are lunar gods as well. And really, we won't get into what it really matters about gender, but there is a more, I guess, feminine energy to the moon. But then there's this archetype that is very well known, right? The man on the moon. I immediately think of, two things, and they are branded things, right? The moon, crescent moon guy from the old McDonald's commercials. And then I also think of, I can't even think of what that movie is. It's from the 30s, I think. It's like a kind of stop motion, black and white, silent movie. You can, even the Smashing Pumpkins in their melancholy album. They use the same kind of imagery. So there's this movie, I should look it up, where it's kind of this old-timey model of the moon in the face, and then a rocket hits it, and and I don't know. These are the things that I think of when it comes to, I'm trying to see if I can find it. No, they're talking about, all these movies. I love these. It's called Trip to the Moon. Trip to the Moon. Okay. There's a lot of moon movies I do like. My husband and I, shout out to my husband over at Dove and Serpent Tarot. We're both real big nerds for like space opera movies. So, there's a movie with Sam Rockwell, I think, is in it. And it's called Moon. And I think it was directed by David Bowie's son. Really good movie. So anyways, let's get back to this moon. So I really feel like it is this energy of like, yeah, we look up at the sky at night. You're out there, you're, you know, pondering your existence. You're thinking about your place in this universe, in this world, and how, you know, sometimes we feel pretty alone in it all, right? It's like you could have a bunch of people around you. You could have close relationships with family. Maybe you have a spouse or a significant other, children, community, and yet you still feel like a very singular being. So then we look up at the sky, we see this beautiful satellite, right? I was gonna say planet. It's not a planet. Celestial body. And yeah, and then we see the face. It kind of looks like a face, right? And suddenly we don't feel so alone. Suddenly we feel like, you know, there is a kinship in all things. I look up at you and you look down at me, right? We're looking at each other, and I'm not alone. And this is not a vast, you know, emptiness. I'm just floating on a rock out in space. No, there's a kindredness. There is a sense of maybe even divine fellowship, right? And so I feel like in this time in your life, it's important that you are honoring your desire to relate to others, to maybe even be with others, be around others. And, you know, and I think it is something about wanting to be heard, wanting to be seen, wanting to be, well, remembered, right? Not to be forgotten. And so, you know, I think that this is maybe the work that is happening in the moment. Now we have the Temperance card, which really I often think of to be tempered or to practice tempering is to get a hold of our reactions, our emotions, right? We, you know, we get into these places where maybe we're very emotional, we're stimulated, we're, you know, feeling maybe a little bit erratic in that sector of our being. And so we practice temperance to really kind of bring it down a notch, right? You know, I find something destroyed in my house, right? And I immediately want to, who did this, you know? But is it necessary, right? Is it necessary to raise your voice and yell and get really upset over this thing, this object or whatever? But to temper self, to bring it down a notch and think, okay, well, I probably already know what happened. There's like only a few, you know, ways this probably went, right? And so I can investigate and I can get my wits about me, and yeah, and then have a little talk. Right, unless it's the cats. The cats don't care. They're not listening. But yeah, a tempering of self. Now, the other side of the Temperance card is we can think of maybe metal being tempered, right? Being put into the flame, heated up, pounded on and heated up again and pounded on. And there is a fortification happening. So there is often this imagery, and this is seen in the Queen of Wands, right? This going into the furnace. Now, not literally. That's not what we're not talking about in the physical world, right? This is we've gone through some ordeals, right? Our life has changed, maybe even drastically, maybe even more than once. And we've been through it. And we know what it is to have to maybe even suffer and struggle and so on. And so I'm looking at this Temperance card. I'm looking at this kind of wanting for connection, feeling. And, you know, it leads me to believe that you have kind of become this journeyer, right? You've been through part of this hero's quest that you're on. You have encountered some ordeals and some maybe even tower moments, right? And that has taken a lot of your effort, your energy, your attention, and the need to figure it out, right? Figure it out, get through it, and then you come out on the other side and you start feeling like, well, you know, I kind of want this connection. I have this space in my life where maybe I was in crisis mode, and now I'm looking for this kind of companionship. Now, I want to look down here. We have a person standing. It looks like they're wearing maybe a mask, and they have on some kind of robe. They're holding a flower, and now they're meeting this person who looks like a bird, okay? So I do feel like looking at this, it reminds me of maybe like, you know, Midnight Summer's Dream or some kind of masquerade, or, right, us kind of revealing ourselves and our attributes in this kind of spiritual space, right? So if you can think of even things like, you know, Midsummer or these kinds of harvests or fertility festivals where people are wearing masks or dressing up like characters from a story, right? Well, yeah, any story, right? I'm thinking of like a religious story, a holy story, acting out the theater of you know, whatever it is, whatever the mystery is. I feel like, even now that I'm thinking about it, we are close to the Annunciation mystery. I think it's in August, and I've seen videos on YouTube of the play being, or if you don't know what the Annunciation is, it is when Mary is visited by the angel, and the angel says, yeah, you are going to carry the Son of God, right? And so anyways, it's a ornate kind of play that is put on within churches, or and I think it's mostly Catholic. It might be Orthodox, but I think Catholic. And it's kind of a really beautiful mystery play. And so anyways, I'm getting this vibe. So it feels to me like you making a connection through almost kind of, it's indirect. It feels direct, but it's indirect because there's kind of a masquerade happening. And I wonder, you know, if this is kind of you finding a kinship with somebody through your spiritual work, right? And as you are so kind of immersed in this interior process that you're going through, and I immediately think, you know, this is maybe something like individuation, or maybe you're doing some shadow work, or you're in a place of revisiting your faith, right? And maybe it is that you're out there kind of trying different traditions, maybe different congregations, or you know, different communities of your already established religion, or whatever it is. But I feel like there's this sense of searching, and I think that you find somebody who you are connected with heart to heart. And I feel this sense of kind of an offering of life here. Kind of well, if you've ever just sat around, right, and talked to somebody and you're getting to know them, and then it turns to these topics of maybe faith or magic or philosophy or cosmology or cosmology or whatever it is, right? These deeper kind of contemplative issues, right? And I see it as this place coming together and feeling like you are talking about something that is actually so very meaningful to your soul. It is like somebody coming in with the water can, right? The one you use to water your plants, and pouring water all over this beautiful plant that you are, but almost kind of in a drought, right? Feeling starved of nutrients and spiritual nutrients, right? And this conversing, this connection, this finally being seen and seeing somebody. It feels like, if you could imagine, if you've ever seen a plant on a really hot day and all the leaves have kind of almost looked like they're withered and wilting. They're just kind of hanging, slumped over and wrinkly. And if you move it out of the sun, right, and give it a little bit of water, and then next thing you know, within, the next half an hour, it's all back to how it was, erect and beautiful and luscious and just full of life, right? And I feel like this is very much the feeling that you're looking for and the feeling that you will actualize. I do. I feel like this is truly an opening for you, right? I feel like this is that doorway that you've been trying to get open, and the door is swinging open. And now it's your decision. Are you going to walk through it? Are you going to see yourself to the other side? And I think that you will. And I do. Now we have, it's interesting, it looks like a tree, but also it has the solar disc up there. So, or the symbol, alchemical symbol for the sun. And we also have, it looks like a dragon right here, you can see. We also have a person who's pulling the tail of the dragon. But then we also have a person over here who it looks like they're carrying it looks like they're carrying Eros, love, right? The god of love. And you can see that there's the bow over here. Okay, so there's a person carrying Eros who's right here. You can see the head and the body. Here's the head of the person carrying, their arm is up. And so we have, I feel this almost kind of somebody from the past, right? And okay, here, let me start here. The dragon, we're in the year of the dragon. So this really represents kind of your year. What's going on for the rest of the year here? Now, I do feel like you are falling in love, or there's a sense of love beginning to transpire, right? It is growing. It is growing. It is growing. And someone from the past, and they remind me of, like a very primal, reactive, maybe even kind of uninhibited, but to a fault, right? Somebody that I feel like maybe you were even married to them, or you had a really involved in long-term relationship. You have history with them. So I feel like this is somebody who hasn't gotten over you, and maybe you haven't really gotten over them either, but you want to. You're moving forward, okay? And they're really trying to kind of stay in the mix. Even though you don't really necessarily want them to be involved, but they're still trying to get in there and cause some problems, hold you back a little bit. And I think, though, there is such a shift towards this openness, this wanting to connect and finding somebody you feel very close with. I mean, I feel like there is really this sense of feeling like an understanding, being understood and understanding. And this old thing here, this person who, you know, just there's an ill will there. There is a poison there. They are toxic. Now, they might not be toxic in all aspects of their life, but with you, they are. There's just something that's happened or gone on, or it's a series of things or years of things. It's like you just try to get on the same page and you try to get along, and one little inflection in the way they say something or you say something, and it leads you right back to arguing and bickering and so on and so on. So I feel like you really want to close the door there, but they just are not letting go, right? And I think you're just over it. You're just over it. So we have the tree and the sun, and I feel like this is really kind of an image of propelling you forward, right? On along the path to knowledge, understanding, right? The tree is knowledge. The sun is illumination. There is a sense of really seeing things quite clearly, right? Really looking at the circumstances, and you're out of the fog of this old person. There's no rose lenses anymore. It just plainly, you look at it, and it could be somebody else's life, right? You look at the old relationship and you think, I don't even know how I ended up there. I don't even know how I stayed there. And now I'm out of it, and I'm starting to see, yeah, it was pretty dang bad. It was not the right connection for me. And yeah, this is the thing that keeps you moving, right? Away from them. So I feel that it's so nice to see that there really is like this, I'm not going back. I'm not going to be sucked back in by this, you know, and it is easy. It is easy to get back into those old dynamics because they're familiar, even if they super suck, right? It's the worst. And yet it's easy to get back in there because it's what you know. But not anymore, not for you. Okay, I see you running away. So I'm looking at this, and it looks like, well, I'm reading it as we have 2 E's, and then this one, I'm like, what? It looks like a C or a V right up here. And it looks like we have 2 E's. And then, again, the V-E. I don't know. Maybe you understand this. V-E-E. V-E-E. I don't know. I don't know what that is. It could be a name or something. Now, I want to also look at this as, now we're going to try to ignore this part and this part because we've already talked about these as different formations, but I want to look at right in the middle. It looks like we have a treasure chest. Okay, right there. It looks like it has the locks. Here we go, kind of like this. So I do feel like, yeah, you also have a great blessing coming your way. There's going to be some kind of big payoff here. I feel like, you know, and it might not be monetary, so don't get me wrong there. It could really be that this is, you know, something that you've been working towards, maybe a new house or an apartment, or, you know, finding this love, actualizing this love. Now, I'm just going to do 3 of these. These are the Oracle of the Radiant Sun. And I just want to kind of see, ooh, first, revenge, harmony, and defense. Okay, so this is that same person from the past. It's like they just can't get over it. And they are kind of a vengeful person. But I think your desire, your drive to find harmony in your life absolutely overrides any kind of their ill will. And I really feel that you have learned to put up your defenses. You have your boundaries in place. And so I think that ultimately it's like you've decided that they have no control of you anymore, right? You're not going to be afraid of them. You're not going to let them kind of sweet talk you in. You're not going to fall for it. You're not going to, you know, pacify them or do whatever you have to do to make them happy. Not anymore. It's not your job. And ultimately it is a search for harmony. Okay. Now, I want to say though, because we do have the defense card and we are talking about somebody who seems kind of volatile. And I feel like it would be wrong for me not to just kind of go over this a little bit. And I used to do it a lot more in my readings, and I should more often now. But you know, if you're ever leaving a relationship or you have somebody who you have, you know, dissolved, there's a dissolution of the relationship, the bond, and they just, you know, they could escalate ultimately, right? And make sure that you are following your intuition. Make sure that you are documenting. Make sure that if you have to, you know, file a report or a restraining order or whatever, make sure that you're doing those things. Okay. I know the further we get out from people, we start to feel, you know, like, well, I'm moving on, so why shouldn't they? I don't even think about this person that much. Well, you know, I'm guessing that they feel the same way, so we're all good, right? And sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes it can be so much the opposite, right? It could be years and years that this person is stewing and keeping, you know, keeping up kind of a surveillance or, you know, whatever. They're just really cannot get over this impulse to at least be on the peripheral or the outskirts of your life, right? And so make sure that you are being vigilant, you know, especially if this is a newer separation, because that, I mean, it can really be the worst time, the most dangerous time of a relationship is when you're in that part of the process of, well, making the decision and letting it be known, I'm out of here, I'm leaving, you know. Even people that have never been violent or abusive or anything. Even, you know, the best spouse you could ever imagine, you know, and something doesn't go right or whatever happens and you break up, and it's like they show you a part of themselves that they have been hiding or pushing down, or maybe they don't even recognize in themselves either, right? This shadow part. And so please, yes, please be careful. And continue to update the people around you, your support people, about what's going on. You know, if you see them showing up at your work or driving by your house, or, you know, they're trying to get information from your family members, your even social media, right? Adding your friends on social media or whatever it is, right? It's so just be aware. And I'm not saying anything's going on like that, but I just, you know, I'm a mom. I'm a mom friend. I think about this stuff all the time. Like, I know it's terrible, but I do. People are just wild. You cannot predict, you know, how people are going to behave. Not all the time anyways, right? So, let's all look at this one right here. So we do have kind of this Oh, I need a drink. I'm getting to the end of my voice here. My goodness. All right. I've been out weeding and it just there's so much ragweed. That's the big thing. It just gets me. So we have a person here praying, okay? So we also have the heart. We also have, it looks again like the same individual, which I feel like, and I was looking, I feel like it's probably you. The one that was holding the, my goodness. The one that was holding the flower here, okay, with the kind of mask, and we can see here it looks kind of the same, the head, okay, wearing a robe. So I feel like there are these worldly matters happening, right, in your life, like we all have going on, all kinds of things, paying the rent, paying the mortgage, the bills, making sure there's food at home, getting to work on time, you know, just all of the things of our day. And then you have this other space where you are existing as this, you know, divine being, where you're doing this spiritual work. And I feel you really in this place of ease, of prayer, I feel like it's just this energy of not wanting to cause harm to others. And I really think that's like, because you've been through some stuff, it's often, right, that somebody who has been through a lot of hardship or they've had some real traumas, oftentimes, and I think the majority of people do not want to harm other people. They don't, you know, you've been hurt. You don't want to hurt other people. You don't want them to know how bad that feels. Then there's the other side of it, where sometimes people, they don't know how to process things, or it kind of gets encoded into their behaviors, or whatever it is that they're doing to kind of manage their pain. They end up hurting other people, right? Now, I think in this situation, I think in the story of your life here, you've been through some stuff. It's been not easy. It's even at times probably felt like you don't know how you're ever going to see yourself through it all. And yet you have. And instead of becoming a hard and aggressive and you know, foul person, you have decided that you are going to make it your goal to live a life where you're not affecting people in a way that might really damage them or hurt them or take advantage of, or, you know, whatever it is. And I feel like this mindfulness, it really is the thing that it's a wonder, right? It is. Now, I think a lot of people want this to be the way that they go, right? They want to be that person that not only doesn't continue the cycle of abuse or pain or, you know, mistreatment. They all, you know, there's also this desire to help other people as well. But I think that some people have the desire, they don't know how to get there, right? But I think that you have, and you continue to live in this way. I almost see you in this very kind of serene posture. Almost kind of, if you imagine, like a holy person, right? Somebody who really lives quite a selfless life as much as you can, right? And so I feel you, the harmony, the love, the companionship, living a life of ease, and emanating that light. I think that's really the goal here. And I think it's such a beautiful thing. And if anybody can do it, it's you, Aquarius. It really is. And yeah, let's do our gratitude card, and then we're going to wrap it up. Whew. Did you see that? I'm all over the place today. Okay, it says, heroic challenge. I am resilient. Though challenges come my way, I face them as a hero with courage. I am grateful for the challenges I've overcome. Practice. What challenge have you overcome recently? Give thanks for how you grew through this experience. All right. Well, Aquarius, I'm going to go ahead and tell you I love you, because I do, and I thank you so much for spending this time with me, and it's always such an honor to be able to bring these messages to you. And if you would be so kind as to like the video, it really does help the channel. And if you have not subscribed yet, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It is free to subscribe. And what else? Oh, yes, if you want to leave a comment, I would love to hear from you. And if you're new to the channel, definitely shout it out in the comment section. Other than that, I just want to tell you again, I love you. Take care of yourself. We're going to talk in a few days. Good night, good night, good night.